Hey, it's your buddy Bob back on Rock and Roll Travelogue as we continue our quest of the pop and rock artists of the 1950s to 90s. We're still in Cleveland today, home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, more Cleveland artists to explore, so let's start with 9 Inch Nails, or NIN. Late 80s, early 90s saw the lead Trent Reznor, who played all the instruments except the drum. The album Pretty Hate Machine got the heavy metal band on the charts in '89, but the Downward Spiral was the biggest success. That came out in 1994. 9 Inch Nails played early gigs here at the now-closed Fantasy Nightclub at 11802 Detroit Avenue in Lakewood. It's near the border with Cleveland. There was another big 90s act from Cleveland. That was Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, a hip-hop act. They consisted of Busy Bone, Wishbone, Lazy Bone, Crazy Bone, and Flesh and Bone. By 1995, First of the Month and East 1999 became hits. The Crossroads, also off the East 1999 Eternal album, made these rappers famous. This is a picture of the guys on one of 3 street signs in Cleveland. This one is at 99th and St. Clair. It's Bone Thugs-n-Harmony Way. Now, fortunately, I was able to take this picture because at times, all 3 signs have been stolen. Well, we're going to head 75 blocks west now, down to 1724 24th Street on the campus of Cleveland State University. This empty parking lot now was once one of the top clubs in the country for emerging acts. Springsteen, Alice Cooper, Roxy Music, Meatloaf, who, by the way, recorded for a Cleveland-based record company. This place was called the Agora, and it helped to take Springsteen's career to a new level. And also in 1972 in downtown Cleveland, David Bowie played his first stateside gig at the Cleveland Music Hall. And all of this is a big reason why Cleveland got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum located in the city on the shores of Lake Erie. One of the most successful pop and rock acts to come out of Cleveland was Eric Carmen. Eric first fronted the Raspberries in the early 70s. 2 songs, Go All the Way and I Want to Be With You. In the 80s, he was still going strong with Hungry Eyes from Dirty Dancing, the movie. And he also had Make Me Lose Control. And earlier in the decade, co-wrote Almost Paradise. That was the love theme from Footloose, sung by Mike Reno and Ann Wilson of Heart. I met Eric once at the Agora in Cleveland in 1974, but sadly, I can't find the picture. Well, I do have a picture with another Cleveland rocker. This is Sonny Geraci with your host in 1973. Sonny headlined The Outsiders with a big 1966 hit called Time Won't Let Me. And by 1972, he had his biggest hit with a group called Climax. The song was Precious in View. Well, one more Cleveland act. This one is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Benjamin Orzechowski was born in Cleveland, became Benjamin Orr, who was the co-founder with Rick Ocasek of the Cars. As a teenager, Benjamin Orr was in a band called the Grasshoppers, and they were one of the house bands for the Upbeat show that we talked about in an earlier Rock and Roll Travelogue episode. This is where he first came to the attention of Rick Ocasek, who was also living in Cleveland at the time with his family. The 2 later met up in Columbus, Ohio, and would form the Cars in Boston. Here's Benjamin Orr's childhood home on Maplewood Avenue in Parma Heights, a suburb of Cleveland. Just What I Needed was the first hit in 1978. Then Let's Go the same year. In the 80s, Shake It Up and Drive were 2 of their biggest hits. And the Cars are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Couple quick mentions. When you think of Canton, Ohio, you think, well, that's the home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You'd be right. It's also the home of R&B and pop group the OJs. This group went to Canton-McKinley High School together, and they took many years before they become big stars. In the early 70s, they were signed by Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff at Philadelphia International Records. You may remember we visited Philadelphia International on a previous Rock and Roll Travelogue episode. Here's the OJ star on the Philadelphia Walk of Fame. By 1972, they had the Backstabbers. That was a monster hit, and it was followed by an even bigger hit called Love Train. Eddie Levert, the lead singer, by the way, is the cousin of NBA star Karis LeVert. Well, there's an Ohio singer who had two big hits from the movies in the 1970s. Her name, Maureen McGovern from the Youngstown area. She had a number one hit on a song called The Morning After from the Poseidon Adventure in 1973. And a year later, We May Never Love Like This Again. That was from the Towering Inferno. And here's Maureen with your host in 1973. I've got a trivia question for you. You like trivia? What's the official rock song of the state of Ohio? Take a moment to think about it. While you do, I'm going to tell you the members of the group that sang it are from both Fort Recovery, Ohio, on the Indiana line, and also Union City, Indiana, less than 30 minutes away. The song was a number one hit in 1965. So the answer to our trivia question, Hang On Sloopy by the McCoys. The song is played at every Ohio State football game by the marching band. If you got the answer right, congratulations. Don't you just love trivia? Well, before we wrap up today, I'm going to drive over to the Glass City, Toledo. It's on the Michigan border. They've made glass for years for the autos produced right up the road in Detroit, as well as glass for all kinds of uses, so that's the reason for the moniker for Toledo, the Glass City. Do you remember a Kenny Rogers song called Lucille? It became Kenny's first big hit as a solo artist, both country and pop. The lyric line is, in a bar in Toledo, across from the depot. Well, one of the writers was in the bar after getting off the bus across the street, and he witnessed much of what is written in the song. Yeah, you picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. Here's where the bar, the Country Palace, was located at 725 East Jefferson Street in Toledo. The building is on the National Register of Historic Places today. And the bus depot is no longer across the street. They moved it further away. Today, it's a parking lot. Now, the Country Palace had long been a hot spot in Toledo. I suggest you read the book, A Bar in Toledo, fascinating, by Dominic Villana and Stephanie Abijay, the owner's daughter. Well, it's closing time, and it's time for me to bounce. See you next time on another episode of Rock and Roll Travelogue. Until then, this is your buddy Bob saying good heart and stout luck.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.